Bonjour tout le monde, comment ça va? Konnichiwa, hisashiburi desu ne. Annyeonghaseyo, orenmani 반갑다. Hola, ¿cómo han estado? Ugh. Hi. So I thought I was going to make this week's video about one topic, but as I was developing the Q&A section and doing all the editing, it turned into its own video. It was just huge. So without further ado, answer the questions you guys asked. I really want to, but the long and the short of it is I need to find a program that doesn't make my computer melt every time it tries to use it. So far when I've used programs like XSplit or any live streaming program, the computer, it works fine, but then I drop my frames so I look like this every time. Thank you, I'm pretty partial to it myself. Unfortunately, I don't have a dedicated microphone on this computer, so it's either using this headset, which I use for gaming or for Skype, or I have to use the Logitech webcam one, and that one makes it feel like a so if you don't want to listen to Charlie Brown adults talking to you, gonna have to deal with it for now. Yes. So this question stems from the fact that I used to be really big. I was almost 300 pounds at one point. Now I'm about 195 to 205, so I still got some ways to go, but I'm doing a lot better than I used to. With that said, this is a multiple part question that I have to answer, so bear with me as I kind of go through all the points. So there were two main reasons that I decided I'd had enough, that something had to change. I couldn't keep living that way. One of them is a superficial answer. The other one's that kind of keeps me going on a daily basis nowadays. And the superficial one is, of course, vanity. Considering I was in a frat and I was 300 pounds, I wanted to be that guy that could walk into a room, make girls turn around and say, wow, check him out. You know, the Ron Burgundy archetype. Be all like, hey ladies, who wants tickets to the gun show? Yeah, no. And then came the organic reason, which is for my health. I was 300 pounds, just taking a small hike or going up a flight of stairs, I would get winded. And I would come home from the weekends at UCI or whatever college I was attending at the time. My grandparents would both be ill because they were overweight. My mom would struggle with her own asthma problems because of her weight. And I thought, I don't want to wind up like that. I love my family, I love them to death. But I also know that something had to change. And nothing was changing if we just kept doing the same things over and over again. So I made the conscious decision. And one of the big things, too, that I'm going to talk about is accountability. Without accountability, really, I couldn't do a lot of the things that I did that got me to where my weight is today. Accountability is one of those weird terms that kind of gets thrown around a lot on weight loss forums. And yes, I did go to weight loss forums. That was one of the things that helped me. But it's different for each person. What's accountability for one person, which is, oh, I talk to my friends, or it could be different from somebody else's, which is, I make a list and I just make sure I follow that list each and every day. For me, accountability meant I had to let my family know. I had to tell them. I was really timid at the time of doing any kind of exercise in front of them because I had this weird insecurity where if they saw me doing, say, push-ups, they would say, wow, keep going, do like 100 more or something. Something that in their eyes was encouragement. But for me, I just felt more self-conscious. I didn't want to keep doing anything in front of them, so I didn't prompt them to give me those kinds of comments. But I knew that had to change. So one of the things that I first did was tell my mom, hey, you know what? Today I'm going to be doing this, a hike, or I'm going to be jogging for a little bit. I'll be back later. She wouldn't question. She didn't make any comments at first. And then once she did start making comments, it felt bad, but I had to say, Mom, I know you're trying to encourage me and I appreciate it, but I really need you to kind of stand back on that. And ever since then, she's kind of felt her way through it. She understood when I needed motivation, when I didn't really need it, and we found a healthy balance. And to this day, it works out perfect. And that's my accountability. And with that support system in tow, that made it incredibly easy to actually get down to the meat and potatoes of losing weight. And a big one was diet, and that's where my plan of attack had to go first. I was coming from a background where I would eat a lot of food on just one plate, and then I'd go back for seconds or thirds. And I'd go out to eat with friends, and I would finish off the whole plate. And at first it was this big joke. Here comes Jolly Big Abel, and he can finish entire meals. Watch him, he's a machine. So slowly but surely I started doing some portion control changes. It wasn't anything drastic. At first it was just like, if I went back for seconds, then I didn't go back for seconds. And a few weeks after that, it was just, okay, well, if my plate's completely full, then I'll make sure it's only like 80% full, that kind of thing. And then after a while, I started cutting back on soda. I used to have the big 1 liters, the half size that you would get at the supermarkets, and I would finish one of those off myself in one sitting. It was pretty bad. Making small but successful changes like that changed not just how I ate, but what I ate. I started to incorporate more greens, more protein, stuff like that into my diet. Cut out things like soda and the really sweet drinks altogether. Started drinking more tea, more water, things like that. I started becoming a huge fan again of like orange juice. So slowly but surely, a lot of gradual but big changes started happening, and next thing I knew, I was shedding things like 5 pounds and 10 pounds, and then I was down to 250, and I felt really energetic. Started to do things that I couldn't do before because I was so big and got winded so easily. And that, in a nutshell, is how I lost all the weight and the things that keep me going. Nowadays, the big motivators are like, I want to be able to take these longer hikes, I want to be able to do things like a shoulder stand, I want to be able to do things like, I don't know, 50 push-ups without having to stop. I never do that many because then my back starts to kill me or my arms start getting all wobbly, and that's really dangerous. There you have it. That takes care of all the questions that you guys submitted. Hopefully there's more in the future so I can answer them. Hopefully you thought this video was a bigger improvement over the first one. I know things were a lot darker in the first video, so I changed all that. But seriously, I hope the lighting was a lot better this time around so you can tell I'm actually Mexican-American. Yeah! Well, that and some other things. But I hope you enjoyed this week's video. See you guys next week.
As I live, all will die.